Hello, my name is Guzalia Davis. Thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is alcohol, although I have to tell you right away that I am not an expert in alcohol and I'm not an expert when it comes to alcohol addiction. I do have a suspicion that I'm invited to speak on this topic often because of my origins. I am from Russia. And whenever I say that I'm Russian, people automatically assume that I am a heavy drinker because that's what Russians are known for, right? I have to disappoint you though. Russia does not take a leading place when it comes to the consumption of alcohol. The heaviest drinkers are actually live in the European Union. The champions here would be a few European countries. But from my own experience, from traveling to different countries to being submersed into different cultures, I have to tell you that everybody drinks alcohol. Everyone, even those who say that they never drink. As long as someone else is paying, people drink. It's just like with vegetarians. If somebody else will pay for the steak or lobster, they will eat it. Actually, alcohol is liked not only by humans, also by animals. Alcohol is a naturally occurring substance in the nature. Fruits fall from the trees and they start to ferment and produce alcohol. In the warmer climate, where there are a lot of fruit trees, it is known that lots of animals come at night to those trees and indulge in those fruits, and they get drunk and then they all sleep together. And it's different species coming together for that party. That phenomenon is not restricted to the land. It happens in the oceans too. There is a certain fish, I don't remember the name. That fish has scales that releases some neurotoxin that acts as ethanol. Dolphins would gather up together and have a party. They would surround this fish and terrorize it. So from the stress, it would release a lot of that toxin. And the dolphins would get drunk on that toxin. They always have one that would not participate in the party, stay aside and watch over the rest of the group, make sure that everyone's safe. It's kind of like when we have a designated driver. Now we know that there are many species on the land and in the ocean, and including us humans, consume alcohol. Naturally, we would have a question, is there anything good in alcohol? Do we get any benefit from it? Unfortunately, the science here says that there is absolutely nothing beneficial in alcohol for our bodies. The only reason why we consume it is to get that euphoric state, to relax and have fun. Although every time we do this, we pay a price. It is extremely harmful for our health. So how does addiction forms? Not right away, but eventually. That metabolic mechanism that our body has, and our brain too, that processes alcohol, that mechanism breaks down, and then the entire body and the brain start to adjust to be able to process ethanol again. First, just for the pleasure, to reach that euphoric state. Later, the body starts to rely on alcohol, on the ethanol, as on fuel, because ethanol is extremely caloric. It's a potent fuel. When our body is lazy, it's easier to get that fuel from alcohol than from all the foods that we have to consume. So the body gradually starts to adapt, and eventually, when the addiction already forms, the body starts to rely on ethanol. Then you'll need alcohol for survival, not just for pleasure. Of course, not everyone will get to the stage, but the light stage of alcoholism is pretty widespread phenomenon all over the world. And Unfortunately, it causes so much harm to individuals, to the society in whole. Drunk people get into accidents more often. Drunk people get aggressive. Some people would commit crimes when they drunk, which they would never even think of while sober. Lots of murders happen under the influence. High percentage of suicides happen while under influence. Rapes. Of course, we can also talk about some cases where alcohol saved lives, when people would freeze otherwise to death. We've all heard and read those stories when during wars, when there was nothing else available, alcohol prevented wounded people from going into the shock. I've read some work of clinical psychiatrists where they say that when a person goes through extremely stressful situation and nothing else available, alcohol can be life-saving. Large doses of alcohol actually cause death of some neuropassages, and there's something happen with the frontal lobe, and that causes some sort of reset in the brain. I'm not suggesting that you start medicating yourself with alcohol. Consider this talk for entertainment purposes only. I told you I am not an expert in it. What we usually see, what is widespread, that light stage of alcoholism, when people don't consider themselves addicts yet. I've read it someplace, the easy test to find out whether you have a problem or not. Does any alcohol lasts more than few months in your house? You bought few bottles of alcohol. Does any of it can stay in your house for few months? If yes, then you don't have a problem. If it never lasts, then maybe you need help. This is the type of clients you may encounter in your work. They usually would not admit that they have a problem, but they will tell you that they would like to reduce the amount of alcohol they consume. They would like to drink less of it, or maybe less often. Or some will say that they cannot stop once they started. Some will say that they need alcohol to distress. They just don't like to drink that much. Yes, alcohol is unfortunately often used as a distressor. It's easy, always available. You don't need a prescription for it. Alcohol is also a very easy way to escape problems because it has this numbing effect. It quiets down this shutter in our brain. All of a sudden, those problems don't bother you anymore. You don't have to worry about your bills, your relationships. All good. The part of the problem here, every time you drink, your body starts to become a bit more tolerant. For each occurrence of your drinking, you need a bit more of it to reach that euphoric state. Maybe you started with one glass of wine on a weekend. Before long, you may need 2 glasses to reach that relaxed state. And every time you drink, you'll need more and more and more. At this first stage, people would never admit that they need alcohol. They're also not likely to drink alcohol just for the sake of drinking alcohol. Also not likely to drink alone without a reason. They would not admit that they just want it, that they need alcohol. So they start to adjust their lifestyle to create situations where the consumption of alcohol would be appropriate. Dinner parties, going out to a restaurant with friends, going to a bar. even without realizing it consciously, they may start adjusting their life to create those reasons where it would seem appropriate to have a glass of wine. And then it happened more and more often. At that stage, there is no physical addiction yet. It's just psychological. And it's an easy way to escape problem instead of dealing with life, instead of dealing with your relationship or work or whatever else might be. You just get this little fix to get a break from your problems. And you like that. And then it happened more and more often. Now you're scrolling through the Facebook feed, start noticing all the local events where alcohol is sold. And now you're accepting every invitation to a party, whether maybe before you wouldn't even want to interact with these people. Now you're all friends. You're just looking for a reason to get that drink. And it never happened overnight, it happened gradually. The alcohol gradually starts to rise to the top of the priority list. Now you're very active and creative in finding out the reason for a drink. Now you're all party going, and now you're meeting up with your drinking friends, not once a week, maybe 2 or 3 times per week. And what happened next? You start doing it alone at home. It's easier. You don't need to arrange a party. You don't need to invite anybody. You don't need to dress up and go anywhere. And it's so much cheaper. You go and buy all the liquor you need and you drink alone at home by TV. And because you need more and more to hit that euphoric state, then it becomes just impossible to drink that amount of wine or a beer you were having. Now you're switching to the hard liquor because you just want to get there. And by that time, person already developed that physical addiction. Everything in the body started to adapt to the consumption of alcohol because it's been given regularly. The body learned to metabolize it to get that concentrated fuel. Everything in the body starts to rely on that cheap fuel. It demands more and more of alcohol. At that stage, it doesn't really matter for the person what they drink. If before, maybe they only liked red wine, or only beer, or light cocktails, now it does not matter. That alcohol addiction is not for wine, not for beer, not for champagne, or a whiskey, or a brandy. It's ethanol addiction. The molecule of ethanol is the same in every alcohol. It metabolizes in the body in the same way. There is no difference from which source you've got it. It's easy to recognize that stage. The person already doesn't look healthy, but also they start to have all sorts of problems in life. Maybe they cannot keep a job now. Maybe the family start to fall apart. Maybe they start to lose all the friends. Maybe they start to get into legal problems here. And at that stage, psychosis may happen too. When people start to hear voices, and that's not likely to happen during drinking. That happens usually on the 3rd, maybe 4th day after drinking, when something happened and they had to sober up. Maybe they passed out unconscious and had very long sleep and they start to come out from this drunken state. Or maybe they just couldn't buy any more alcohol. Or maybe they got locked up in a jail. As they coming out from the state, psychosis often happen. They start to see what is not present. They start to hear voices. You'll hear them saying, voice told me to do this. The voices tell me to drink. They force me to drink. These people also may tell you that they've been possessed by demons. They or their family may start seeking out an exorcist. The chance of the psychosis increases if they had some head injury or some neuron infection. The psychosis may happen during the drinking episode too. Two scenarios: or they're afraid of something, hiding from the enemies. They're just sitting quietly in the corner or trying to hide. Or the opposite: they're surrounded by enemies and they try to fight them. They can be extremely aggressive and dangerous in that state. That can happen with anybody. There is no warning, it's unpredictable. We don't really know who and how will react to alcohol. We really don't know enough about it. The question people ask often: what is a safe dose for a body? There is no scientifically proved safe dose for a body. It's always harmful. Although our body does contain some alcohol, small percentage, the bacteria that live in our body, in our colon, produce some alcohol. By the way, there is a condition when that bacteria's colonies get out of control and they can produce so much alcohol that the person's always drunk. That requires long-term treatment, antibiotics, antibacterial medication. When it comes to the type of alcohol, well, that red wine was promoted to us. Doctors saying that resveratrol can have some health benefits. But, if it really works, just eat grapes or raisins. The type of alcohol, the taste, and what it's made of, whether it's from grapes or grains or cactuses, the molecule of ethanol is always the same. It has the same effect. Although some of the drinks have additional ingredients included, and they also may be harmful on their own. So, in the sum between ethanol and other ingredients, maybe some drinks may cause more harm than others. The type of alcohol doesn't really matter, whether it's a light wine or a cocktail or a beer or a brandy or a whiskey. What makes difference? The sum of ethanol itself in the amount you've consumed. The current state of a person, the condition of their health, whether they're too tired, maybe they had a very long hard day, or they're too stressed, maybe they're too hungry, maybe they didn't sleep well prior. That can make difference. How fast they will get drunk and how bad their hangover will be. How fast you will get drunk may depend on the way you consume alcohol. Ethanol is highly absorbent molecule. It starts absorbing into our body as soon as it gets into our mouth. In our mouth, while it travels into our stomach, liver. The Russian traditional way of drinking vodka is taking shots of ice cold vodka. So that actually is not a most economic way of getting drunk. A person will consume more this way. Because it's chilled, it slows down the absorption. Also because you do shots, you are bypassing the mouth where the alcohol could be already absorbing. If you do tiny sips, slowly, and if it's room temperature, probably the third of alcohol will absorb in your mouth. So you'll get drunk a lot faster, therefore you're likely to drink less if you feel it right away. Yes, through the mouth, it absorbs into the blood and goes straight into the brain. The sweet drinks may also increase the absorption and the bubbles, gas bubbles, like in champagne or some cocktails. The surface area increases because now these ethanol molecules are on the air bubbles. The contact area increases. Therefore, the absorption will happen faster. Plus, there is oxygen in those bubbles. It's like adding a propeller to the ethanol molecules. It will travel through the body very fast. That's why you feel champagne so quickly. You haven't even drank the whole glass yet. You already feel it. The champagne drinkers are not likely to consume a lot of alcohol because from very beginning, the party just started, they're already feeling it. I have to warn you here, when it comes to adding gas to your alcohol drinks, which in warm climate happen often, those big cocktails with ice mixed with soda, they actually can be dangerous. You have a whole glass of a cocktail ice chilled. The bubbles become small because when they're cold, they condense, they become really tight. If you take in small sips with the breaks between it, that's okay, it can gradually warm up in your body. But some drink whole glass. Actually, it's dangerous even without alcohol. On a hot day, you got thirsty, you got a whole glass of ice cold soda. You drink all of it, what will happen is that gas bubbles will start expand rapidly because your body is very warm. It will start heating up and the bubbles will grow bigger really fast. Imagine if you had a whole glass of that drink. That pressure is enough to rip your esophagus and the lining in your stomach. It can be deadly. First of all, you shouldn't be drinking ice cold anything because it ages you, it wears out your body. Second of all, if you do small sips with breaks. Don't drink all of it at once. So now imagine a dance club, a bar, people mixing energy drinks with caffeine. Caffeine is very interesting too. We don't know enough yet about it. We don't know what it does when it interacts with other elements. It does speeds up the absorptions of many elements. People know if they have a headache, if they'll have some coffee with whatever pill they take for the headache, it will work faster. This is why it speeds up the absorption. It will speed up the absorption of alcohol. But now imagine that a glass of cocktail is ice chilled with bubbles. It causes heart attack. That's why there were so many young deaths. The healthy, young, strong, 20-something die of a heart attack. I know those cocktails are illegal in some countries. I'm not sure about the US. If you really need to reach that state. Also, now you have all sorts of beautiful tools. You don't need alcohol for this. You can make yourself feel good anytime, anywhere, for as long as you'd like to. But if you are looking for this alcoholic euphoria, at least minimize the harm to your body and have the minimal amount. To get the most of it, drink it room temperature, make small sips and hold it in the mouth. This way it will absorb fast and go straight into your brain before even it hits your stomach. This way, once you feel it, hopefully you will not want more. I hear people often advise to each other not to mix the types of alcohol, to minimize the hangover. I heard people saying that you can go from light alcoholic beverages, move to the hard ones, but not the opposite. I don't think in the sum it really matters. The problem with going from the hard liquor to the light one, you can drink more than you would normally. You're not going to feel that much of that level of drunkenness with the lighter beverages. Therefore, you may have a lot more of it without realizing how much drunker you're getting. If you're going to the party and decided to drink, at least stick to something that you like, something that you usually drink, something that you know how much you can have. Of course, the best option is not to drink at all. You can always pick up non-alcoholic drinks and bring it with you and drink those, so others don't pressure you and don't judge you for not drinking. Yes, of course, you can say that you don't drink alcohol at all. Even now, people start to wonder, why are you not drinking? Do you think you're better than us? Something's wrong with you? Are you sick? Are you on some strange medication? Do you have some hidden agenda? Very strange phenomena, but people that do not drink perceived as not trustworthy, especially when it comes to big business meetings. People will judge you and they will not likely to trust you. Why are you afraid to lose control? What are you hiding? In some situations, you cannot say, I don't drink. Accept it. You don't need to drink it though. You can make few sips and stop there. You don't even have to make those sips. You can just pretend, hold that glass while you're having conversation. Touch that glass with your lips and then compliment on how good it is. Show your appreciation. And after a while, you can just put that glass down. Nobody will force you to finish it. But you already will be perceived in a different light compared to when you would say, I don't drink at all, I don't want it. I have to share a story with you. We were invited to a dinner party, me and my friend, and the host brought out a beautiful bottle of wine. He said it's vintage, it's 45 years old or something. He paid a lot of money for it, and he told the whole story, whole adventure he had when he acquired that bottle of wine. He said he was saving it for a very special occasion. And here we are, that special occasion. And he pours wine and offers it to us. And my friend in that moment said, I don't drink. You should have seen that man. He was genuinely upset, and I think he felt humiliated, maybe. I mean, if you don't drink, that's fine. I can respect that, but don't be rude. Here's a person's offering you something he treasured. You could accept the glass, you can at least taste it, take one sip and compliment on it, be gracious. Anyway, that girl was never invited again to this house. When I was young, we were taught social etiquette. We were taught that all the illnesses, health conditions, your diet preferences, your alcohol preferences, and even whether you drink or don't drink, should be kept private. It's poor taste to come to somebody's house and announce it. I remember a teacher said, when you're invited to a dinner, would you talk about herpes? Announcing your food preferences, whether you're vegetarian or you don't eat certain something, and stating that you don't drink is the same as announcing that you have a herpes. It may put an end to your social life if something that you do not eat is served to you on a plate. It's not likely that this is the only thing that is served. Eat everything else, leave that on the plate. And if someone asks why you didn't eat it, you just say, I've tasted it. It was wonderful. Thank you very much. This is all I wanted. And the same with alcohol. If you're invited into the house and people brought out some special beverage, accept it graciously, complimented it, you do not have to drink it. But you cannot say, I don't drink. And you certainly never decline a drink that's been offered to you at a big business meeting, because that deal is not going to happen. Few phenomena that happen under the influence of alcohol. Vomit, there are actually two reasons for that. Ethanol is a highly absorbent molecule and travels fast through the body, and it creates chaos in every place it reaches, including our brain. It affects the area of the brain that involves balance. Just like we get car sick, alcohol causes that effect. So that's one reason for the vomiting. And another one, it's just from the sheer amount of consumed alcohol in food. And alcohol increases appetite, so people tend to eat a lot. The stomach can stretch only to some point, and then the reflex will happen and the stomach will just push out everything. Why hiccups happen? Because alcohol irritates the nerve endings and diaphragm, and because alcohol depletes our body from potassium, calcium, and everything else, it too causes muscle spasm. We have this irritation of the nerve endings and muscle spasm. Everything gets out of sync and people get hiccups. Alcohol suppresses and slows down all the processes in the body, including cognitive. That's why the speech gets slurpy. People lose balance, they don't have good coordination. The person might not feel that drunk yet. They still can think pretty clearly, but the body does not listen already, and they become clumsy. Some people say that if you drink regularly, you train your body and then you become more tolerant. In the beginning, yes, but with age, our body becomes less tolerant. The body has less and less resources to metabolize ethanol and to withstand all this harm. People can actually get drunk with much less alcohol, and their hangovers may worsen. Some people reach plateau of that tolerance. They can drink certain amount and don't feel bad. And that plateau for some people can last for many, many years. And they will say, I know how much I can drink and I'm always fine. But even then, at some point, the body will give in and people can start to experience really bad problems. You can't really predict who will become alcoholic and who not. Although doctors talk about genetic predisposition, there is nothing in the genes that can make you more likely to become alcoholic or less. There is difference, however, in the way we process, metabolize alcohol, and that depends on the ferments our body produces, and that also depends on the types of bacteria that live in our body. There is a region in the East Asia, their body metabolizes alcohol differently. That euphoric stage is very short, but then the hangover is really, really long. Also, it does not stop anyone from drinking. There are few factors that play a role. The traditions, culture, social protection, stress factors, economic situation too plays a big role here. And whether there is enough opportunities for self-realization for us as individuals, that plays a role too. in many places on earth, centuries and centuries of tradition of consuming alcohol. Through generations, they learn when to drink, how to drink, how much they can drink, how to behave. Some social protective mechanisms were installed. If there is happen to be a problem, how can we handle it? How can we help this person to stop? But there were some areas where they did not have alcohol. So they did not have culture, tradition. Let's take America. In South America, where there is abundance of wild fruit which were fermenting, so there was always abundance of alcohol. These nations developed those traditions of alcohol consumption. But in the North America, nobody consumed alcohol. And when it was brought in from Europe, it became a weapon. Not because Native Americans had some genes that made them more vulnerable to alcohol, but because they didn't have this culture of consuming alcohol. They didn't have those long generational traditions, how and when and how much to drink. And that is how alcohol became deadly for them. For comparison, France, for example, that happening even now. Corporations, companies give their employees coupons. Basically, those are prepaid lunches. And with that lunch, there is a bottle of wine included. Imagine every day for lunch, a whole bottle of wine, not to give to take home, to consume it with the lunch and then go back to work. Unfortunately, even if a person does not become an alcoholic, it still causes a lot of harm to our body. Alcohol is very high in calories. If you have a client for weight loss, it may help them to get into the shape if they just cut out alcohol. And as we know, alcohol increases appetite. There are some neurons in our brains that are responsible for feeling hungry and having appetite. Well, there are actually two groups of neurons. One is responsible for the sense of satisfaction when you eat, but alcohol suppresses them, so you're just constantly hungry. It doesn't matter how much you eat, you want more and more and more. So cutting out alcohol may help you to manage your weight. You lose that crazy appetite. Also, alcohol on its own, very high in calories. Also, it ruins all the metabolic reactions and causes inflammation and depletes our body from all the important nutrients. So just doing that one thing, cutting out alcohol, may help a person to lose weight and get into shape. When the heavy stage of alcohol happens, when there is already physical dependence and body depends on ethanol for fuel, the body works differently by then. That's why those heavy alcoholics are always slim. The liver starts to work differently and there's something happen with the fat metabolism. That's why they stay slim. What is more dangerous? What is worse? Regular consumption or binges that happen very rare? It's better to drink regularly but a little bit than drinking it rarely but in large amounts. It's better if you spread the poison through time and consume it in smaller amount at each time. The body can metabolize it easier. Is another type of clients you may encounter. Those are male and they started having alcohol to get more relaxed and feel more confident during sexual encounters. So they have a little bit, the chatter in the head quiets down, they're not as nervous, they feel more confident, and they can perform better. So they would repeat it. So then each time before having sex, they'd have some alcohol. Then overall, the person consumes more and more of this alcohol, and eventually the tolerance of the body decreases and they may become impotent. The very thing that improved their performance in the bedroom at first killed it altogether later. And I had one client whose erectile dysfunction was tied to one type of drink. Every time he had certain beer, although it didn't happen with other types of beer, there's certain brand. If he had it, he would fail in the bedroom. And after a while, if he could smell it on the woman, then he couldn't get erection too. On one occasion, he had this type of beer, and then it didn't work out well, and the brain recorded it as a negative experience. Although consciously he did not make any connection, his brain recorded it. In that case, you just regress the client to the moment prior and you rewrite the scenario. But see, even just becoming aware of it, understanding what's happening, he could just avoid this brand of beer for the rest of his life. Now about hangovers. There is so much medication for hangovers, right? In any pharmacy, gas stations. They're even sold in grocery stores with a cash register. Why do you think there's so many? Because it's a huge industry. You can make a lot of money. The most important thing is they don't even have to work. Hangover is such a thing that goes away on its own. The ethanol molecule falls apart and becomes vinegar. Vinegar in large amount is toxic. That's why you feel poisoned, you feel sick. You'll feel better as soon as your body will get rid of it. Until then, whatever you take may ease a little bit the symptoms, but will not get rid of it. You certainly can help your body. Easily digestible carbs. You don't want to eat fat because your liver is already very stressed. Don't add fat. Don't make your liver work harder. Eat easily digestible carbs. Porridges, oatmeal, rice, potatoes, bread. You need liquids because your body is dehydrated. Remember, if you drink cold, it's likely to just be flushed out because body doesn't like cold water. It cannot absorb it. It perceives it as an attack and flushes out. With that, you will lose even more of the nutrients. Also, you want to replace the nutrients you've lost. Carbohydrate, electrolytes, mineral water, but you'll have to get rid of the gas. Pickle juice is really good, not with vinegar, not marinade. You want natural pickle juice that has salt, sugar, lots of different nutrients. It will ease the symptoms. You want to avoid caffeine. Coffee and strong tea will actually worsen your state. You certainly do not want to have more of alcohol. This is only for those who are already in physical stage of alcoholism. They need that for survival. If you will drink it, you will just extend your misery. Some people believe that you need to go to sauna to sweat it out, to detox your body. Don't do that. No sauna and no hot bath because your body is under huge stress already. Your heart's stressed. All your organs are stressed. You're already dehydrated. The sweating will dehydrate you even more. With that, you'll lose even more of the nutrients, salts from the body. And the heat is also stressful. So, no sauna, no bath. Taking absorbents is useless at this point because the alcohol is not in your stomach. It's already in the blood. The absorbance will not do anything. Doctors say aspirin helps. Vitamin C can help your body to recover. I actually read someplace that vitamin C, it's antioxidant, that what neutralizes the byproduct of ethanol that causes hangover. I've read that if you consume vitamin C in the natural form, not in pills, in the natural form, while you are consuming alcohol, you may not have a hangover at all. They suggested eating few slices of fresh lemon with each drink. But the best option, of course, not to drink at all. If this is important for your business or for a social event, don't say that you don't drink, you can just pretend that you do. And if you decide to drink, be smart about it. Certainly, you want to make sure that you sleep well before the upcoming event. Don't drink on empty stomach. It is better if you are after that drunkenness, that euphoric state, then drink something that is room temperature, small sips, let it roll through your mouth so you'll reach the state faster with much lesser amount and help your body with vitamin C. I would strongly suggest to just avoid taking in alcoholics because you don't know in what stage they're in. If this is a physical dependence, they need medical treatment. They need to be monitored by doctors because their body relies on ethanol. Their heart will stop and they will die. You don't know what's going on with them, and most likely at this stage you really cannot help them. But you will also have other clients who, for example, will contact you for weight loss. And then you'll find out they treat themselves to a glass of wine every now and then. Maybe you can help them to reduce the amount or quit it altogether. You can make this transition very easy for them with hypnosis. Some clients will tell you right away, I want to reduce the amount I drink, or I want to drink less often. Hypnosis works great for that. Some will say, I don't really enjoy being drunk, but I like the taste of certain drink and I crave that. You can use our smoking cessation protocol. It will work great. If you need to lessen the amount, that's easy. If they really like that flavor, that particular wine, they crave this taste, or it's maybe a part of their end of the week ritual, the second and the third glass of that wine will taste just like the first one. Help them to stretch it. First, they can limit it to just one glass, and then gradually to maybe half a glass. And maybe later they'll find out that they don't need it at all. Remember, just like with food, being fully present, involving every sensation, being fully absorbed into the experience, holding and observing that glass, the weight, the temperature, what it looks like, the color, aroma. Then you take a sip and you hold it in the mouth, roll it, really paying attention what it tastes like. Let it flow down the throat slowly. Paying attention how it lands in the stomach. Just few of the sips can already bring satisfaction. That is the easy way to decrease the amount. And then you can teach them pattern interrupt, because any thought, any craving has only a few seconds lifespan. If you redirect that focus, attention, you redirect the flow of biochemical mix that flow through the neurons, then through repetition, very soon you can dry off those neurons. Therefore, there won't be a space in the brain that holds that desire. pattern interrupt can be as simple as rubbing hands, taking the deep breath. Anytime that thought, idea, desire, craving comes up, you stop whatever you're doing and do something that you weren't doing in a moment. You can go make yourself a delicious cup of tea and enjoy it. Rubbing hands, taking deep breaths, rubbing your ears, getting up and going washing hands. That's all you need really to redirect that flow. Then you have to figure out what does it give them, why they drink, what are they trying to fix with that drinking. Is it boredom? Is it loneliness? Is it stress? Is it because they cannot relax? Or maybe they don't have appetite and they cannot eat without having some alcohol. You see, the alcohol itself may not be an issue here. It's just used to medicate something. If you'll fix that something, then there will be no need in alcohol. Remember, here we're talking about psychological addiction, not the physical stage, because when it's already in the physical stage, they need medical treatment. But when it's just psychological, there is a lot we can do. Figure out what they're trying to fix with alcohol. You pull it all apart and you address those problems separately. You're not treating them. The alcohol addiction, you're treating those problems. You'll be much more effective. There may not always be consciously aware of the reason, of that root cause. Just something hurts and they're trying to numb it with the wine. May need to do regression. If you don't find anything, you can just generalize, regress them into the childhood, replace it with a very positive life scenario where they never had a need to have alcohol and they walk through life without consuming any alcohol, therefore experiencing all the beautiful benefits of sober life, the health, the confidence, self-assurance, pride, more money, more energy. That's one way. You can also work with the cravings alone. You can replace them with cravings for what they want more of. Now, every time when you'll have this idea coming up of drinking beer, wine, or whatever, instead you'll have this persistent desire for a sip of fresh water. It's as though you've just discovered how delicious it is, how much your body craves it, how much you want it. It's as though you cannot get enough of it. Or you can replace it with cravings for broccoli, for example, or tea, or coffee, whatever is appropriate in their situation. Another case would be if alcohol is a part of some ritual. Maybe at the end of the week they go to a bar or having a dinner out, and then with that dinner they have alcohol. Maybe you can help them recreate that routine. Maybe choosing a place for dinner where the alcohol not served, or moving this dinner to another time so it does not connect to the regular routine. For some people, smoking and alcohol go together. For older men, whiskey and a cigar is a big thing. It might be much easier to get rid of both at the same time. With alcohol, just like with any addiction, you can do a part removal. Remember how we did it? Go within, find that part that may crave alcohol. It's not you that wanted it, it's that thing within you that is took over, invaded your body, and now it demands alcohol. You can do that part releasement. You can also do it shamanic way, detach them from the egregore of alcohol if they're living in this metaphysical world and know what egregorial system is, that may work for them. It wouldn't work if the person has no idea what it is. You'll have to work on confidence here. You'll have to work on discipline, stress, sleep. You also have to help them to create a bigger vision for their future. The bigger, brighter, more colorful, more meaningful future is, the goals, the less importance everything that is happening in the present will have. Those problems, challenges, addictions may become just the stepping stones on the way to that future. For men, you can tie alcohol to the sexual dysfunctions, which brings us to the opposite, being sober, to performing very well in the bedroom. And because of this choice you made to become sober, all these beautiful things will happen in your life. From now on, you'll be healthier, you'll have more energy, more stamina, you'll be in a much better mood, you'll have all your life under control, and even in the bedroom now, beautiful changes will happen. From now on, because there is nothing to hold you back, nothing to drain your energy, nothing to cause any harm to your body. You will walk into your bedroom like a god. You'll have all the energy, strength, and stamina you need to have the best adventures ever. That's because you are sober now. That's because you've decided to give up alcohol. And that is when you realize that you haven't given up anything, but gained so much. And I wonder now, maybe because now you state all the benefits, you are so strong, confident, self-assured, driven, intelligent, determined, and because you have such a great sex life, maybe all that was enough for you to give up alcohol. Because that is so much, you don't need anything else. You don't need alcohol. Or maybe it's the other way around, because you are sober now. You could gain all of this, but you'll really never know what happened first and what second. And at the end, it does not really matter. All that matters is that you are now enjoying your life to the fullest, and you again state all the benefits. For men, tying it to their sexual health is so powerful. Sometimes just that thing is enough for them to quit smoking, quit alcohol, start eating properly. If you slip that into your session, you'll be amazed at the result. You'll make any session much more effective. And for women, it's beauty, it's staying young, it's having enough energy for their family, for their children. And it's all about relationships, because this is the most important thing for women. Love, intimate relationships, family, kids. You can use that in any session to increase the effectiveness. Don't let your clients book on their own appointments with alcohol. You'll have to have a conversation, at least 15 minutes on the phone, before deciding whether you're going to take in a client with alcoholism or not, because you don't really know whether it's within your scope or not, whether you can help them or not. Ask the right question. What is it giving you? What are you trying to fix with this? What hurts generally in life? What are your challenges generally? What's going on with health? And as you talk, list every problem they brought in. From there, you can figure out how many sessions approximately you will need. You don't need to respond right then. Say that you'll need to think about it and send them an email with a proposal. This is what we need to address. This is how many sessions we will need. And this is how much it will cost.